Well, isn't this special? Yours truly, twice appears in this article via Fox News, or I should say on foxnews.com, via Outkick Sports. Maybe I should pay more attention to what I tweet out. Now, what's wild about this when we look at this title and we're digging into the article a little bit, by the way, quick shout out to Evelyn, who also appears here and let me know about this. I have a list of sources, websites, media things, people that I check for a lot of different things. I don't always get to them. I could have easily missed this. So thank you, Evelyn, for letting me know. But again, also some big names in here that good company, I must say. What's wild about this is there aren't really any conspiracy theories that they pulled out of the tweets to base this article around, which tells you what? Maybe they aren't actually conspiracy theories and we're just spinning things a little bit. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. By the way, and I haven't really put them in each video. I've put the other ones about the fans. Guess what? I think we don't like you either, C2 Nation. Check those out. But I just wanted to say real quick because it takes days sometimes for it to appear. Like when I go to select the new shirts, the shirts are blank. But anyway, I have a bunch of shirts now that just say, that's cool design, I think, says Let It Fly Caitlin. So if you see a blank shirt, maybe click on that and see if you like the design. All right, let's dig in. Fans float wild conspiracy theories after Caitlin Clark's latest scratch. From Fever Game, Coach Stephanie White said Clark's healthy, but also cited back stiffness, sparking fan theories on social media. Well, first of all, that in itself is a contradiction. All right, I think that was we had two problems. Here's what we got initially with this. We had Scott Agnes, Fever stenographer, putting out that Caitlin Clark was out. She was not going to play in the sixth game of the season because of load management, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now we know about the issues with the first game and the adjustments, and then they decided, like, hey, you know what? At a practice not long, Caitlin, why don't you dance on the scorer's table at a practice so everyone can see that your back is perfectly fine? But then after that, we got the contradiction. So to say these are fan conspiracy theories when you have a coach and an organization that kept changing their story because of the late pullout, they failed in violation of league rules, failed to report this on time. We had Stephanie White saying, and I think we might have it here, yeah, she's healthy and we're not managing anything, White said pregame, while also adding that Clark woke up stiff and sore and attributed the absence to a long-term plan. Well, again, this is the problem. And I don't know if it's a lack of intelligence from Stephanie White. I don't know if the Fever actually got caught off guard as to the firestorm of reaction for something like this, which would be absolutely bizarre considering she's been the coach for over a year and knows, who Caitlin Clark is and what that entails. But if you're saying she's healthy and her absence is part of a long-term plan, that is 100% load management. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts, no discussion about that. That is exactly what it is. If you're saying she's stiff and sore and that's why you have her out, then that is, if not an injury per se, it is that she is hurt, not 100%, and you want to give her some extra rest so that she is 100% for the next game. Of course, that is followed up, and I did a video on it, by the fact that it's already been put out there that she's not playing Friday, which again blows apart everything that Stephanie White is saying right here. The Indiana Fever do not have a realistic, viable reason for why Caitlin Clark is missing this game. So one, of course, you're going to get people who are going to theorize and just put out questions there. Is it this? Is it that? All, by the way, based on the fact that the Indiana Fever have been terrible about this. We know everything that happened last year. So to take them at their word would be absurd. So let's dig into this a little bit. But here's the key: when we get back into these, we're gonna talk about these and be like, that's not really a conspiracy theory. So I don't know. Outkick carrying water for the WNBA, very doubtful. Outkick has been, Clay Travis has been a killer when it comes to the WNBA. And after the game, of course, and I played a clip of this, and White was very snippy. She did not like the question, certainly didn't like two follow-up questions. Only person I've ever heard even try and box White into an answer on uncomfortable questions. Not everybody that doesn't practice or gets a pro day is on the injury report. That happens all the time, and she wasn't listed on the injury report earlier because we expected her to play. But again, then we go back to, well, she missed that practice. So therefore, you knew something was up, and it is not a pass for a coach to say 2 hours before a game is when you found out, when you said Caitlin Clark woke up with back problems. And again, if she did, then yes, that is an injury. If she didn't and she's healthy, as you say, yes, that is load management. Of course, I talk hoops, absolute big time Caitlin Clark hater, plays the clip of, hey, alluding to, hey, is this the reason? Is this a, on the down low suspension for Caitlin Clark? Some suggested Clark being named Grand Marshal with the Indianapolis 500 angered the team and they wanted to make a point. Haven't heard anyone say that. Others said White simply doesn't like Clark and the attention she receives. Again, have not heard maybe there are bots and trolls, with 2 followers out there, and they're, Twitter handle is a bunch of numbers. Haven't heard a real person say that. And maybe that's why they don't have tweets for those particular things, because the things they do have tweets for. Now, we know Jason Whitlock has gone hardcore, and this is the Fever and the WNBA have known Caitlin Clark has been hurt. And that, again, not a conspiracy theory when we go back to the first game and these multiple adjustments of her back and saying that is now the new normal and will be happening going forward. No. Again, as someone who trains athletes, as someone who played, that is not normal. There's nothing normal about, if you are 100% healthy, constantly getting your back adjusted at age 24 as a professional athlete. Nothing normal about that. Then we have Christine. So big name, Jason, Christine Brennan. The story of the Fever and Caitlin Clark is simple. She is more than a basketball player. She is an entertainer. People pay to see her like she's the star of a Broadway show or it's her concert. This means honesty and transparency are crucial, especially with attendance dropping. Anything conspiratorial in there? Not a damn thing. 100% very reasonable. Christine Brennan, great book on Caitlin Clark, by the way. And I feel like am I completely screwing up it's on her game, right? That is, oh man, if I have that wrong, apologies, Christine. Let me know in the comments below and correct me if that is wrong, but I swear it's on her game and I'm not checking right now. And there's Evelyn. At this point, Fever fans are not imagining things. The optics, yes, around Caitlin Clark are terrible. Again, that is true. You've got videos of coaches grabbing her by the arm mid-game, assistants barking at her on the sidelines, constant public criticism after games. And meanwhile, Stephanie White, okay, that's going to flip to the tab. Let me just finish it, though. Can individually praise everybody else on the roster, but suddenly turn into we, us, the group whenever it's time to acknowledge Caitlin. Again, that is something that is 100% true. Nothing conspiratorial there either. John Root works for Outkick, by the way. The Indiana Fever announcing Caitlin Clark is out an hour and a half before game time is unacceptable. Worst part, this is all part of a strategic management plan for the season, so they knew she wouldn't play. And again, it is unacceptable. In fact, it's a violation of the rules. Worst part, she is getting that directly from Stephanie White, who said it's part of a long-term plan. Again, no conspiracy whatsoever. And then this person is going after, I guess, those bots and saying, it's about because Caitlin Clark went rogue and everyone. Again, haven't heard a source say that. Listen to yourselves. No example, no receipts whatsoever. And hey, this is when White said that she's healthy and that we're not managing anything, but it's a back issue. So that's why she's out. Again, contradict, just like I said, cowardly gibberish. If she's healthy, she plays. If she's healthy and does not, that is, in fact, load management. How does Caitlin Clark wake up with soreness and White doesn't know until 5 p.m. for a 7 p.m. game? Again, reasonable question, not a conspiracy. Good thing for her, no reporters cover the Fever. What does that mean? Did I hurt feelings? I know words can hurt like a fist. And then they went with this when I said she started talking about Tamika Catchings. And again, no shot at Tamika, but just reinforcing what Evelyn said. Never says a kind word about Caitlin Clark. Check a few videos ago. We know that's 100% true. She gets asked about Caitlin. She praises the team, doesn't say a single thing about Caitlin Clark. So I ask you again, where are the conspiracies in any of these tweets? There aren't any. The Fever are an absolute mess right now. They are a train wreck. They have never been involved in anything like this, have never been under this type of scrutiny. They've got this gang back together from a long time ago who thought they could grift off Caitlin Clark and apparently had no understanding whatsoever of the type of scrutiny that they were going to get. How they wouldn't know, I do not know. I couldn't explain that to you. They're so wrapped in a bubble, I guess, that they just really didn't understand it until they were in it. Not sure they still understand it based on this disaster of a PR campaign in terms of how they reacted to the reaction of Caitlin Clark being out. And again, as of now, she is out for Friday. We'll see if that changes. Maybe it will. But again, that also leads to credence of this is not load management. This is, in fact, an injury. And yet she was not put on the injury report. And what are the long term repercussions of this? Is she going to play a couple games, sit out a couple games? Is this going to be like last year? Because it's kind of looking early on like it might be like last year. Anyway, shout out to me. No, kidding. Shout out to all of you because you made that possible because I wouldn't be doing any of this if y'all weren't watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Truly appreciate it. Shout out, y'all 19. Go have the day you deserve. I will talk to you later.